Hey everybody, this is Carrie Ockery, and you are listening to the Between You and I Bad Grammar podcast, and this is number 2. Ooh, number 2. You're growing with us. You're gonna watch me flounder. You're gonna watch me succeed. I don't know. But today I brought my awesome friend Kim Virant and forced her into this room. This is her first podcast.
Yay!
But I'm referring to like all the podcasts as a conversation, so it doesn't seem so like a radio show.
We're chatting.
I'm not heading in that direction yet. No. My whole goal of these things was just to have good conversations because I've been having them and they're really fulfilling and needed and therapy. And I just thought, well, that's kind of a cool art form and lots of people are doing it. And I thought, why not me? I'll do it as well.
I think you should.
Yes.
I'm glad you are.
So we were just starting to chat and we thought, oh God, you got to turn it on because we're already starting to talk. And you and I will talk for a long time.
We will go.
We have. And we were just talking about, what were we just talking about? Oh, this space.
Yes.
So this space is in an active space, and it's actually going to go away. But I was laughing embarrassingly when Kim said, oh, how long have you had this space? And I was like, 6 months, and I've been in it maybe 3 times. And I was like,
light that money on fire.
Waste of money. And yeah, my husband's like, any day now, you can get rid of that. But I had high hopes. I had it as like a personal, creative fort or vision quest place. But like the past, because I've had a space in here, in the active space, before, and never came then either. And I just find it, at this stage in my life, when there's a full-time job, or there's, my son or family, it's not as easy to just leave them. I don't feel like I have a lot of time with them during the week. You get like 3.
It's almost like you need it in your house so you can just kind of cruise downstairs and
lock the door.
Yeah,
I need it private. It can't have any invasions. But to actually,
shed.
yes,
That would be perfect.
I do.
Come on, Marty, make a shed.
I know. I need a man shed, for me.
Yeah,
which means flooring and nice things finished.
Curtains.
But curtains, at least curtains. So I just find it very hard. I get in here and then I just feel kind of isolated and lonely. So experiment number 2. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? So I'm leaving this space, and in the future we will either do these podcasts at my house or we were talking about over the phone. So,
well, yeah. You can cast your net wide.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like creepy calling people like, hey, you want a podcast? You feel like podcasting?
Well, you just don't tell them.
Just record it. Isn't that probably illegal?
Yeah, I think you maybe have to tell them to record it.
Ooh, you said some shit on the phone.
You're in trouble.
You're going to be sorry now. That's a bad road, though. I could really abuse power that way.
Sure.
But I will say, so my short background on you, I met you because you and I have been in music together for the duration of over 20 years.
Yep.
And you were in Lazy Susan, and that's how I know you as well. Plus, you're also married to the wonderful Chris Frill.
Oh, yes.
Lovely family town. And so, but you and I over the years have had lots of conversations, and we have the same worries, and it's just been a real godsend to call you sometimes, call somebody you and be able to admit like the dumb things that I'm worried about. Like you and I can call and I'll say there's a big show coming, and neither of us will talk about like, oh yeah, the songs and all this. We'll be like, what are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing? I don't know. I'm freaking out. I feel fat. Like, what should I wear? And like, the truth is, that is the biggest fearful thing for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because singing, not a problem.
Yeah.
Fills my soul.
Yeah.
Playing with everyone and being surrounded by music, a pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
Not feeling good about how I look. And I mean, I have felt this way all the way back to Hammerbox.
No, it's always nerve-wracking. And Christopher will be about a few days before a big show. He's like, you do have figured out what you're going to wear, right? Because he has experienced many times when I'm standing in front of that closet, yelling, throwing clothes down.
Yeah. Right.
So he prefers that I have it already in my mind.
But you were saying he also gets you.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's a huge support. So he's like, all right, Kim.
Yeah, and he doesn't go there with me. He's just kind of, do your thing, and I'll come back after you. Settle down. Because some guys would engage with you, and that just doesn't do anything but escalate the problem. Right. Then it's just crazy pants.
Well, you don't need too crazy in the room.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You need an opinion to get outside of your head.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe I need that opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what surprises me is I think Marty actually has an amazing, good fashion sense.
And Chris will do that too. He'll be like, you do the shoe thing, like this shoe.
Yeah.
I got a shoe, and he's like, so yeah. It helps to have somebody. But I miss the time in my 20s being surrounded with other women, living with them, and you're just, you go in and be like, can I borrow that? Or what do you think about this? Or I kind of miss that at times.
Yeah.
Because Chris Friel, he's,
He doesn't fill in the blank that much. Well, I feel like I've always wanted to feel free and not burdened by caring. You know? Like, just, in my mind, I have grandiose ideas of what I want to wear. Like, I have visions of like a Victorian high neck blood red lace like dress, like kind of, I want to wear that one day, like an Elizabethan with a big bustle out the back, like just like a queen, or big things. But what I find interesting is that when I go to dress up, I feel extremely vulnerable. Whereas other people put on armor and uniforms to feel stronger.
Oh, yeah.
I feel more
self-conscious.
Yeah.
Like
get it off me.
Yeah, like Chris got me this really cool hat for Christmas and I wanted it, and it's this kind of gray floppy hat, and I haven't worn it because I'm wearing a hat. I feel self-conscious when I'm wearing it.
Well, because do you in your mind go, you have the other voices in your head that you think are out there?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's up with the fucking hat?
Yeah. What's she trying to look like? She thinks she's hip.
Yeah, who does she think she is? She J-Lo right now?
Yeah, exactly. For me, too, for stage stuff, it's like I want to feel, good, but I also have to feel comfortable. Like, I can't wear funny shoes that I can't, I'm kind of clumsy and I don't want to fall over and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think about like Lady Gaga, and I admire the orchestration.
Yes,
but just the labor.
Oh yeah.
Of all putting it all together would make me so ungrounded.
No, and I'm the same way with you. It's like it's just so impressive. But I would get uncomfortable.
No, I'm with you. I still want to overcome that though.
Yeah.
And I'd like to figure it out.
I think the whole time that we've been friends and we've done music, I think you've always had these inclinations to wanting to do these more bigger not dresses, but just presentations.
Elaborate.
Yeah. I think that's still in your
One
future.
day.
I think you should do it.
Yeah. You know what part of it is that I don't, and I can get it, I don't have any experience working with like a tailor or maybe an independent art institute student.
Like back to Lady Gaga, she has a whole team. Like she has people that, and I think she had those people probably in place from the get-go, and I think it's that thing. You'd have to, maybe someone at the art institute that's doing design.
I just have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Gather those people, tell them all they have to work for free.
Isn't that the truth?
You could just, if it matters, you hope you have cachet enough to say, you could say you did this show, put it in your portfolio or something like that. Because I also think that people have the mistaken identity that we have money or something. Like if you're known at all, like, you must have like
there's no
money.
No. Yeah.
No, check my savings.
Yeah.
Crickets.
I will be working until I die.
Yes.
Either that or eating cat food.
No, I won't let it come to that. No cat food for you. Although I hear it's not that bad.
Yeah. Friskies.
Or dog food or something. I don't know. No, gross. Brian's grossed out already. Ladies.
It sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah. It sounds, I don't know. Desperate times. But I think what I'm learning this year, we've talked about the levels of, as you, keep growing and getting older, like the levels of lessons never end. And I feel like there's a lesson of persevering and asking and doing that I think I wasn't doing in the past. I think I got comfortable and rested on my laurels a little bit in my mid-20s to 30s.
Yes.
I had it, as experiences go, I think I had it pretty good. I experienced a lot, but there was a modicum of effort, I feel like, that went, shit's just happening. Like, all right.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. And so I got really used to that. Or I'm going to gather up talent around me and utilize some of my talent. And boom, other things are happening. Now, I don't know, other people might say, I'm pretty sure a lot of work went into that. And I'm like, it did. But it feels different when you're going net new again. Well, now it does.
But I also think, too, it's like, it's always, you look back and you're like, did I do enough? Should I have done more? I don't know. But at that time, you are doing a lot. And especially if you're forming a family and doing, maybe you want to pay a mortgage and not be totally broke all the time.
Oh, we're gonna get to that, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's Seattle. But yeah, well, and you hit on a good point. Life is very different than my 20s.
Oh yeah.
And I'm still wrapping my head around like, I think a few years back I was definitely like, oh, I can do it all, I can do it all. I have a baby and I'm working. I'm like, no, you actually can't. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
In your 20s, of course. Yeah, everybody thinks that.
Yeah, it took me a long time though to like just be like, no, you actually have a limited amount of time. Like I think I had a breakdown around that. Like what? Like in some depression. Like.
Well, and I think it's also interesting for women in this generation. It's, decades ago, women stayed home and they weren't, but now there's just no way they're going to stay home, nor do they want to stay home. And so you're expected to work full time, and yet what you're doing at the home is still kind of on a larger, it's a more intense level. So it's like, hopefully in the generations to come, that'll even out more. But right now, I think for women particularly, it's, you can do it all. In fact, we expect you to do it all.
Right. But I think something loses out in the translate. You lose out being with your child or really feeling life, or being in it and being present.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I remember I talked to my mom about, like, my angst, like, oh, I want to ride. I got to find time to ride. I got to find space to ride. And I was like, how did you do it? Because she was a single mom with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And she had me when she was 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was really young.
Was she pursuing something creative as well, though?
No, her answer was, yeah, I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, no. She's like, I just try to make sure we have food on the table.
Yeah, she's like, I don't have this problem, this angsty problem you have. She goes, I liked our routine and I was happy. I was good. You have this extra thing that.
Oh, and I think that's part of the reason. There are many reasons why I don't have kids, but one of the reasons that I can't work a full-time job on that level and play the music that I want to play and have a kid and not feel, I would have been irritated, I think.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
It would have caused stress down the line. And I think it's just particularly hard when you have 2 musicians, because it's like, why are you going out to play and I'm staying here?
Right.
And that's not a nice mom thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're totally right, because it is 24/7. I mean, I feel I'm connected to Orion, and so if I'm leaving a lot and he goes, no, I mean, that tears me up. Like, it makes it less fun when I'm going to go do it, at least in the beginning, as I leave the house. That's tough. It does.
It would, be very hard.
Yeah, so anyways, so I'm, I vacillate between recognizing those limits and making sure I'm taking the time to participate and appreciate what I have. And also remembering life is long, knock on wood,
Well, and things there's a time and place. It's that season. It's and this will pass, and Orion will be older and less dependent on, and less caring of, not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they get more independent.
He's not going to care about me at 13.
He may not.
He may
That's
not.
a good chance.
But that's exactly when you start the punk rock band.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you think I'm not cool? Okay.
I will punk rock you.
I'm going to show you a little something.
He won't be in the punk then.
He won't be. Oh, yeah. Oh, my mom's so embarrassingly punk.
Yeah.
Like, it'll probably be new wave anyways. And he'd be like, oh, God. Smelly. Get out of here. It's going to be good. It's just funny, though, the life lesson. Like, just as you go along, trying to sort things out or just learn things.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was saying to a friend today, I said, my 20s, I'd say 18, leaving the Tri-Cities, coming here, even into my mid-30s, I always felt I had a trajectory forward.
Yes.
Didn't know really what was going to happen next, but I felt safe and comfortable in the possibilities. And I would say later 30s and then starting a family and other things, that disappeared.
Well, yeah.
It just changed. Midlife.
It's midlife.
Midlife is real.
And it's funny because you talk about that midlife crisis, like I'm going to, start dating a 20-year-old or buy a Corvette. But I think that's so much more nuanced, and I don't think they really talk about that. And I think that the loss that we both have shared with the loss of our moms and just other things that are so much heavier that come into it. I don't think I realized the impact that it was going to have. Okay.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely heavy. I just read a book, probably the best book I've ever read concerning midlife, by the woman who wrote A Secret Life of Bees.
You were talking about that book. What's that book?
I gotta look it up. I'm terrible at titles.
Okay, I'll look it up. Sue Monk.
Sue Monk. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
See, this is when I need the person like on the Nerdist who's like, go look that up.
Google it.
Ryan's gonna do it right now.
All right.
Look it up. Okay.
I'm being mostly quiet.
That's right. But she, I swear, every chapter, for the most part, she would say things where I'm like, exactly, and I'd never heard it said like that.
Yes.
Where at some point it's like it's a cocooning and re-transforming.
Well, there's a flip side of that where you know yourself better, and you're. I was reading this other book, and I forget the name of that book. Okay. See, that's what happens.
Yeah.
See, we just forget stuff. But she was saying you gotta know yourself. She's like, I like this, I don't like this, and just own it. And part of that, and also for me, I'm an impatient person, but in some areas it's like I'm more relaxed about stuff. That being said, I'm not a relaxed person.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Chris Real is like, you're a wound like a top. I'm like, I know.
But you're a
But I
thinker.
get
You've
you
got
down.
a lot of ideas, and you're smart, and you're like you're going 100 miles an hour in your head.
Oh, yeah.
I bet.
And I get things done. It's like I'm a doer. I'm and that was years ago. My mom, I was like telling my mom like I'm easygoing, and she was like,
Perfect.
she's like, no, you're not easygoing.
You know, my mom said she's like, thank God you're not your own mother. So Ryan did find it's called When the Heart Waits.
Okay.
Spiritual direction for life's sacred questions. She's definitely Christian, and it has that language in there, but I didn't really care about that.
No.
I mean that's her thing. She said she's very open about like, hey, this is her language, this is whatever. But she on so many chapters just nailed it, like just nailed exactly how I feel, just the ambiguity and the loss of sense of direction. And what she comes to understand, which I think is true, is that there's a point in midlife where her metaphor, and she actually has, is a caterpillar that goes to cocoon and then resurfaces. But the power of change is in the waiting,
Yes.
and the sitting and the silence. Like change
And
actually.
you and I are both so good with this.
And
Yeah, that's cool. We'll just wait.
I'll just sit here and the answers will get to me eventually. I'm like, oh yeah, right? Isn't that a joke? But I understood what she said, that at some point, it's probably, I think it's more of also a touch on believing that like everything's happening as it should.
And it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
And that's
Answers come.
That's what I think faith is. I think, and I'm not religious by any means at all. And I think sometimes you lose out on that, having that faith, because I think organized religion kind of gives you that. That's a nice thing to have.
Well, and depending on the religion, they're showing you their doctrine, their version of a lot of a lot of them all say the same thing.
Oh, of course.
Which is great, but
It's just.
but I've never been to church. I went to church for about 4 years when I was dating somebody else, and I went mostly because I think I really needed community.
Yeah.
And the music community at the time, I think we had gotten into a harsh place, and so there wasn't a lot of love there.
Yeah.
And so what church did provide is true commitment to you as a person. Like, you call me, you need me, I'm there. And I wasn't really having that in the music scene.
No, and I think that the community is such an important thing. I mean, humans need it, and that's for so many on so many levels. Church has provided that, but it's.
Yeah, but I still get itchy when I go to I'm sorry, I just do itchy when I go to a Christian church because it feels, I'm not a club person.
No.
And so I feel like everyone's pitching me to be in the club, and it starts to make me feel kind of claustrophobic, like, I can't go there with you. Like, I believe everything you're saying, but I also believe in Buddha, and I believe in a higher power, and
well, that's the thing,
metaphysics.
there's just so much out there, so it's hard for me to, like, you gotta be able to see it's not just yours.
More power to everybody else.
Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful thing, but I just, there's something that's me.
I'm going to read that book, though. I think that...
It was literally, I didn't know that she was Christian, so really the first half of the book was the one where every chapter I was like, oh my God. Because it actually was how I was feeling. I'm like, oh, my old ways aren't working.
No.
Like, my managing this, or A-typing it to death, or seeking answers is not...
You know, they say...
fixing it.
That... people, it's like they're really happy younger, and midlife they're not as happy, and then when they, like as senior citizens, there's a happiness that happens, and I think that it's because you've kind of gone through all the crap,
Right, yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
you're not resigned, you're just,
much.
it's like, Really?
Like I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I'm still alive. And you've gone through these experiences, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
right now we're kind of in the midst of them.
When
Like,
I worry things to death is
oh, yeah.
Chris's mom and his aunt, they're part of Worry Inc. and I'm an honorary member.
That's nice.
Because I'll just, I'm like, okay, what about this and blah, blah, blah. And that's what's nice about Chris is that he's not that guy.
I said when he was in here, I'm like, you're like Steady Eddie to me.
He truly is.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think that, we've talked about our mother's passing and what a profound effect that has. Like almost an unnameable.
Oh, yeah.
Although if we digged into it, I'm sure I know there's books out there and groups and all that kind of stuff. But since I fairly isolate, just my noticing of the profound effect it's had. I mean, my mom was my parent, like
yes.
the parent. And in my book, and I think most of my family would agree, she was the graceful
She's
buffer
the
between
lynch
us all.
and the linchpin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was cool.
Yeah.
She was just chill. Like, she'd be the one I'd call with any of these things. So to have that removed in the beginning was so devastating. One, because, she's gone. And all those things, I don't know what grief's like. But it was amazing to sort of feel like not only is she gone, but all of my history is gone.
Yeah.
The person who has witnessed me my whole life
Yes.
is gone. So what does that mean about all these memories? And when I think about her in the memory, she's alive, and just the mind fuck that is.
Oh, yeah.
And or then things would happen, like I'd say, her and my son were amazing together. And now I'm gonna have to freaking explain her. Like I didn't see that. So I mean, I've said that before. So, but what I've noticed recently is Marty and I have been talking a lot about where's home. Because like right now we're renting and we're in Seattle, and this is we're going to kind of get into Seattle, I think. But we, in my mind, like I'm still in limbo in some ways due to this
How long
experience.
has it been since she's been gone?
Almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years this year.
That's why it's that second year is the hardest.
That's what everybody says.
0 to 1, you're still kind of in a daze about it, but it's that 1 to 2, and we were talking about this before when we were having drinks, and it was everything is coming back around again, and you're like, oh, it's more finalized, and you're like,
Yes.
like that sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, so I found the second year, it was the summer of the second year, and Chris was like, you have to go talk to somebody, because I was also just pissed. I was, and anytime you're that angry, it's underlying that is hurt, and I was just missing her, and I wasn't finding a way to navigate with my dad, because she was always the buffer with us, and I was much closer to my mother than my dad. But what's been nice with having her gone is that my dad and I developed our own relationship now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's hard.
Did that affect like how your outlook in life everywhere?
Oh yeah, and I
What
felt
was
like,
it?
Well, it was what it felt like is it feels like normally you have a space above your head that's maybe a foot or two that you have, and it bobs up and down when you got stress. But at that point, I felt like I was in a room with the water level had gone all the way up to the top of the ceiling, and I was having a problem. I could not breathe. I couldn't. There was just so much. I didn't have any. So if anything would happen, there was no space to let it occur because the space was gone. It was filled with grief, and I just so by virtue of going to talk to someone, it kind of brought that water level back down. And I could
that's
do
good.
other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even now it comes out of the blue too. It'll be random. Like something will hit, or I'll be watching some dumb show on TV, and Chris is like, "Oh my god!" Like to this day, there's that Renee Zellweger, Meryl Streep movie. I can't remember what it was, but Renee Zellweger goes back to take care of her dying mother.
Yes.
And I think William Hurt is like the philandering professor.
Yeah.
And to this day, I can't
Brian's
watch
looking it up right now.
Yeah, to this day, I can't watch that movie. Like it's just it's gone from my repertoire.
Yeah.
Because it just was too close to home.
I have music like that I can't listen to it. Like there was a song that we have the worst memories ever. People think we're just brain dead. There was a song out there.
It's called Middle Age.
It is.
One True Thing.
One True Thing.
One True Thing.
Yeah.
Bam. Okay. Look up this one.
Got my Google going on here.
Oh, what is her name? She does Burn. She's a disco. She's
Gloria Gaynor?
No, she's recent. This is dumb. We're gonna spend half our podcast like
not remembering anything.
But the song just reminds me of Mom. I think it's about a boyfriend of hers, but Ellie Goulding.
Oh yeah.
And she's got a song, I Know You Care.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit, that thing. Like,
You can't listen to it.
No. Oh, yeah, it makes me cry just think about it. And I've been at work before, other jobs, not necessarily work, where that will come on, I'll be like, oh, nope. And just like,
no. I'll be going to the bathroom now and coming back to
turn it off, shove it down, like, but that's the power of music. I mean, I love that half of it.
But I also think part of the whole process is there's something kind of beautiful about it too, because you have empathy where you didn't have it before. When you lose a parent, and I always feel part of that dead parent club now, and it sounds kind of crass. But
well, I feel like my podcast is like everyone's got a parent that's dead.
Oh yeah,
What's
that? It's like the age of people you're talking to too.
Yeah.
But there really is, once that had occurred, I was like, and that's the thing. Hopefully, as you go through life, that's what it does. You're peeling back more of those layers of like, so the connections or I do get that because I've gone through that, and now I understand, and I think it makes you a more empathetic person.
Well, it's such a vulnerable state to be in.
God.
So I think of anybody, like, even if you're on Facebook and someone says my parents died, it's nice to be able to say I know exactly how you feel. Like, and you're
it just
raw
sucks
right now.
It's like that sounds kind of basic, but it's like it sucks.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
But at least it's a no bullshit state, and I kind of like that.
Yes.
Like, you can't, when you're really that much in pain, there's no room for bullshit.
No, and
so I love it for that.
Right when it first happened, you're like, what do you mean anything else? You care about anything else? You're like, everything else seems so trivial because that pain is so huge and sitting on top of your head.
Well, I feel jealous of people, not jealous like in a mad way, but people who have their parents.
I do too.
Like I'd be on the ferry and someone would be like, oh, hi, Mom. And I'll be like, or watching some grandma that's about the same age as my mom. Yeah. And like, she's with her grandkids.
Like Mother's Day is coming up here.
Totally.
And I was, and I told Chris, I said, because I kind of do a lot of the holidays for the family. And I like that because I like entertaining. But like, this is yours. You take. I'll be there, of course.
Good for
but
you.
It's like, I'm not putting it together. It's like, I got the rest.
Yes.
I just did Easter. I'm not doing this one. No.
Right, exactly. Well, you got to have, like, reserve some of that space for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do something. I can't tell. Maybe I'll call you. But I thought it'd be nice to gather some friends and do something fun. We're not going to, not
We're going to go to brunch so you can come with us. We'll let you know.
Brunch. Marty almost came along to that brunch. I was surprised that you invited us to for Easter. And I said, well, I told you wouldn't go. And he's like, really? And I'm like, oh. Are we opening up to that? Like,
it was fun. We have Chris's extended family, and then I have a friend of mine she was free and she came, and it's like, I kind of like those. Chris, like, we started with 6 people, and now we have 18. I'm like, but I like that.
That's nice.
Well, yeah, and we're just making baked eggs. I mean, hell, it's not like I'm making something crazy.
Marty and I were talking about, on the subject of Seattle, one, how crowded it's gotten.
Oh, God.
And how expensive.
That's why when I was Chris, there was 2 games today, and I was like, oh, crap, I'm driving down here. But it was free and clear. That's why we stayed home during Memorial Day weekend, because I drive up and down the freeway, and I think it's 1989.
I know.
This is how lucky I am.
People thought it was crazy during the Super Bowl. I'm like, I'm going to go run errands. Because there's not going to be anybody on the road.
And isn't it, and it's so nice how light you feel about it. You're like, you're not hating people.
No, exactly.
Well, the other thing we thought is like, so we moved back, right, and Orion's in a school, and the one thing, a major thing we really liked about Minneapolis, or that situation, is we were forced to go find friends, and we had a kid, so our friends had kids, but we really formed this great posse of people. Life is not as expensive there, it's not as crazy, it's very family oriented, and we really enjoyed the fact that we hung out with our friends. Here it feels like everyone is so busy.
So busy.
So busy, and it's too fractured. Everyone's trying to make money and buy their $500,000 shack, and that's no effing joke.
No, it's not.
And that's freaking us out.
Oh, no.
Marty said, I never thought we would really settle in Seattle. But for the first time, and this gets back to kind of like, what, I didn't see that coming, or, passing to Mom, but like, we're contemplating going somewhere else because we literally can't afford it.
It's so expensive. Yeah, I told Chris Phil, I'm like, you like this house? Because we were going to be down in this house. And I love my house. It's great. But it's still like, I moved every 2 years as a military kid, so I get antsy. I mean,
I get that. Yeah,
I don't necessarily move from Seattle. I mean, I think there's a reason why I married a man that had a lot deep roots somewhere. It's all
you've got great roots. Yes,
because we move so often. But that being said, I'm like, I think it'd be fun to get a new house. But I'm like, we have friends that are buying houses right now, and it's crazy how it escalates. And
I just don't understand how anyone has $500,000.
No.
When Amazon stock just went up on Friday, like a ton. And
Those
the first thing that crossed my mind was like, they're all going to buy nicer houses.
They're all buying houses.
Yeah.
We're in West Seattle, and 2-bedroom homes are literally going for $500,000. And I keep saying $500,000 because I'm like, it's $500,000.
Oh no.
And Marty, so we're contemplating Spokane.
Really?
Because you mentioned community, because all of his family is there. It's 2 hours away from like part of my family. It's dirt cheap. I might be able to work remote. We don't know where we're
We have other people to do it. So.
Right?
Sure.
No, man. Because I have friends that she lives in what's right across in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene.
And that
Beautiful.
That area, and that area is so
stunning.
Yeah.
But well, at first, and I will tell you this, as of even yesterday, like I sobbed. I mean, because again, I've never in my life did I think I'd be in a place. Never in my life have I ever been told no, you can't.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so
or you feel you priced out. It's like priced out. You're like, but I'm middle class, and it's like, yeah, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
No.
And Marty wants to be a teacher, so which is wonderful, but he's never going to make more than.
But that's a problem that's happened. So you price these people out, and then everybody's living on the fringes, on the suburbs, and I don't know. It's like I want to be PC and I want to say, you know, everybody should ride their bikes and all that kind of stuff. But you price these people out, then they have to drive to get into town, and then you make it difficult to drive around. I mean, I guess I like that. You know that Ron Judd, he writes in the Sunday paper. He's very sarcastic. But he makes some points. It's like you're losing a sense, and I guess maybe that just is what happens.
I literally was yesterday in a park sobbing, talking to Jared Clifton because I was like, I'm grieving.
Jared.
And Jared's doing amazing.
Where's he at?
He's in town.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't mind I'm saying this. He's clean and sober.
Nice.
He's doing fantastic. He was wonderful to talk to. He was super supportive because I was sobbing. I mean, because I felt like grief. Like, I wanted to be here. I want to be here.
And you moved away and then moved back
to be here, and now you're telling me I can't.
Because the only reason why we have a house is because this is our second one. We bought our first one right when it was cheaper, and that's the only way we could parlay it into another house because it's. I mean, I can't imagine because you can't buy a starter home now.
Well, Orion goes to in the Admiral District goes to school, and so we have to buy all the way in Arbor Heights or south because think about it. If your house is $250, then you could pay $1,500 or less. That's manageable.
Yeah.
Right. If I get into $375, that's almost $2,400.
But what's crazy about that is that it's even if you're renting, it's still expensive.
Oh, we pay $2,000 for the house we're in right now.
It's just crazy.
And our landlord's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And it's when he sells that house, he'll get more than $500,000 for it.
Oh yeah.
We feel extremely lucky to have found Jeff because Jeff is chill, and he was like, "Great, move in, pay your second deposit when you can."
It's back to the Spokane idea and having family. There's that. It's like
I have to say, I never effing thought I'd say Spokane, but the idea of being around Marty's family, who is close, warms my heart.
Oh yeah,
I have a good warm feeling. Orion has cousins. And frankly, I talked to Jared. Jared was like, well, I know people are moving there. And then I talked to my friend SP, who I consider a friend and a mentor. Today was even talking to her. She's like, you could buy a house that has room where your friends can come visit. You could probably build or buy a building and have an artist retreat and invite all your girlfriend, you out, and come out, do artist retreat, go up to Priest Lake, hang out.
We could totally do that. That'd be cool.
I could start my own music festival there.
Yeah.
And I will need those things, because I told Marty in the beginning, I was like, oh, holy hell no, east side of the mountains.
But do you feel like you're taking advantage of what the city has to offer now? Like, what will you be missing?
I don't think much because I have done this town.
Yes.
I feel like I have done this town. I mean, I've had your coffees, I've had your fun boutique restaurants, I've taken your aerobics, crazy dance, I've taken painting classes, I could continue to go to Velocity, go to Velocity and take modern dance, but I'm sure there's something like that. There's yoga and,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's Reiki masters there too, and if not, I'll get one online, But here's what blows my mind is like, I never thought I'd be having to make that choice, but I also never thought my mom would be gone, and I never thought how important community and settling down and having a home would be to me.
Yes.
Because what freaked me out, and I had a massive, I'm not really that bad with stress, but yesterday I had a serious internal meltdown, where I was upset and grieving and sad and
well, it's all your identity. It's like your mom was a distinct part of your identity. You being from Seattle and being part of this town is that it's like, okay, your mom is gone, that's gone. Do I need this Seattle identity, or is it like...
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's hard because that's...
But you're asking things, you're asking the completely correct question that I asked myself. I was like, it's not the city and the people that make you, you're you.
Yes.
So if what you really need, and you'll laugh at this, if what you really need is a little bit of willpower to when you go to Spokane and actually get your ass to write songs, you could do that anywhere, honey.
Well, the other thing too is that you can always come back and play shows.
Always. It's only 5 hours away.
Yeah, and you're always going to get, if you wanted to do a weekend, you're always going to get shows. It's not...
Right. And when I was in Minneapolis, I didn't feel far away from people. If I wanted to talk to somebody, I'd call them.
Was the main drawback with Minneapolis the weather?
No. At that time, okay, like other places we're choosing around here, I kind of just asked Marty, I'm like, now that Mom's gone, take her out of the equation. Why are we here? Why are we here in this place?
We could be anywhere.
Yeah. And there was lots of reasons to stay. There's great schools. It was good for Orion. You know what I mean? We could have a good life there. But we had no connection to anybody else. We had friends there, but it's a family-oriented town, and you feel it during the holidays. Everyone else is from there.
Yes.
You're not. So why are we here?
Yeah.
And we just didn't have a profession or an art form that was specifically tied to the Twin Cities.
Yes.
And so I'm like, we don't have a deep-rooted reason to be here. While we've been here, we've also talked about Tacoma or Boise.
I go down to Tacoma monthly because I...
oh, do you?
My day job.
Yeah.
Sell down there I have a couple of accounts down there, and that area by Metropolitan Market over there in Proctor, in that area, and Brian Kenny, my old guitar player from Susan, who owns Velocity Records. I should know these things. He's got a great record store down there, and there's some beautiful homes and just
crazy town affordable.
Yeah, and just
craftsman homes.
Yeah, and these that you when I go on this one street to get over to Met Market, it's the view of the Sound and. Yeah. And I went to high school down there. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Lakewood. My dad was base commander down at McCord.
Okay.
And that's how we ended up here. We'd been in England, and then he got transferred, and I went to high school in UPS for 2 years, and then transferred to the U, and that's how I ended up in Seattle.
Okay.
So I just, and by virtue of that, I kind of just fell in with a bunch of musicians. It's I got lucky. It's that one of those things the universe kind of placed me.
Yes.
Here, you don't know this about yourself. Because when I told my parents I was going to sing, they're like, you want to do what? I was a total late bloomer.
I'm with you.
I was 25 when I started singing.
I'm with you. I talked to the Friel brothers about that because they talk about since they had diapers they were doing stuff.
And I was and all the guys I played with, they were all, had been playing since they were early. And I always felt a little bit at loss with that because I don't play an instrument. I didn't grow on a piano enough to write.
Yeah.
But I always felt insecure about that. I didn't have the background. But that's also, you get to a certain point, and it's just only been recently I'm like, so what?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I really like doing? I really like singing, and I like performing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this person last night, and she's like, I never do covers, because we did a Led Zeppelin cover, and I'm like, and it was that kind of the way that people will say that. I'm like, you're missing out. Do you think Frank Sinatra, not that I'm comparing myself to Frank Sinatra.
No, but he did.
Frank Sinatra
covered songs.
Had an issue not doing cover, because in the end, if a song is good, and it speaks to you, it's so great to sing.
Hi, and the freedom, you don't have to write a song. You're there's 8 million great songs out there. A night of covers
it's both. Free. It's I like the balance of both. It's I like to create, but at the same time, I really like to sing.
Yeah, yeah. And you've done like some amazing shows that cover like
Oh yeah, and I've been
Patsy
doing a lot.
Cline and
When people ask, and I think that's part of getting older, is that I don't stress it. Why I stress anyhow, but
You big
but
guy.
people keep asking, and I'm like, sure, I'll do it. And I have all these little one-offs, and I'll do like we just did a couple songs last night. But I'm like, it's nice to be asked. It's nice to be and to still be doing it. When Chris and I moved about 7 years ago into this new house, we were going through the garage, and we're you know, all the crap that you have in the garage, and there was a bunch of rockets, and I'm like, you know, half to 3/4 of these people aren't even playing music anymore, and the fact that we're still doing it is a testament. It's like, it may not be on this grandiose level, but it's like,
who cares?
I still, you know.
But I think you guys are having fun.
Oh yeah.
And people on a grandiose level often are not having fun, really. You know what I mean?
Because they're running a business.
You're running a business. You're also your life is.
But at that same time, I hate it when people are like, oh, it's just a hobby, and I'm like, that doesn't seem.
No, you're
like...
an artist.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like it's a hobby. It seems like it's way too much more involved.
Well, somebody who doesn't know is saying that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you say I have a passion for music and I'm an artist and it will include these things, like that's all they need to know.
But I always love that about you because you will say I'm an artist and you're just like, that's what I am. And I have this weird like flinch, where, all right, Kim, own it. It's like you
It took
are.
me a long time though to do that.
It's
I mean, we grew up in a scene that was pretty like snarky
oh yeah.
and who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah.
Calling yourself an artist was like, no, you know, like, which is retarded. You know, it's just ridiculous. I think it's the thing I claim it just because it sustains me.
No,
And it
I
is
like
who I
that.
am.
And it's true.
Frankly, I've had too many friends yell at me and say like, "Don't you?" You know, like it took other people to be like, "Wake up!" Like, you know, you are this already. Stop stop saying like, "Oh, well, I don't know." Like, shut up and just claim.
Well, I think for the longest time, it's like I kind of was the ingenue, and I kind of wore that as my thing, you know, because I just don't know, and I don't have the. And it's like, okay, after 20-something years, you're not an ingenue.
Yeah.
You're an accomplished artist.
Yes.
And you have, and
you've gotten to do things that other people never will.
No, and it's not. It's definitely that thing is you move through more of the business world and the corporate world, and I'm like, okay, I don't have that, or I don't have that, but I'm like, damn, I have all this fun stuff I opened for Page and Plant, and what the hell?
I know. Well, and sometimes I think you have to work to protect that, and in terms of like respect. Like I've definitely been at jobs where people are like, oh, you know, it's novel to know you. You should sing at our
Like
Christmas party. And I was
monkey.
like, yeah, no, that's going to cost you $1,000.
No, I've definitely had that where it's like, no, let's trot her out because she's singing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I had a guy at an agency who owned the agency, and it was like, oh, I think the only time he ever spoke to me was, oh yeah, I think I saw a Hammerbox show. He's like, we're gonna have you sing, and I'm like, I'm not your fucking puppet.
no.
I'm like, but people don't know any better. They just go, oh, I mean, he's the king of his shack. It's like,
Of course, yeah.
whatever, you know, like he doesn't. But I know in my mind, I have to be like, no, that's not what it is. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a.
And you will be writing me a check if that's the case.
Well, I tend to be, you know, like, oh, ha ha ha, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, no, you don't have to say anything, but I'm
No.
sort of like, no. Mm-mm. I have a good thing, but a weird thing. Like before I left Seattle, my thing was I felt like everybody was talking about me in the past.
Oh,
I was working at EMP, which was a great experience, you know. But every time, I don't know what it was, but every time I had invited another artist to come along, they were reminiscing. But in my mind, it was very much like, oh, I remember when you did this, or remember when you did that. And I was like, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
I am in the museum, which is hard.
Good
My
point.
name is on the wall, but I'm not dead. You know? And so it would just rub my insecurities.
Yeah.
And I had released like a solo record, everything, and I'm like, and apparently nobody knows. Like that's so sad.
That record is beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people in their 40s start producing like the best work ever. I remember when we did the Rockfords EP. John was like, that's the best singing I've ever heard you do. And I'm like, I'm just hitting 40. And like,
but that makes sense. You think about those opera singers. They aren't the, you know, at their height until they're in their late 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Because I think your voice is developed and you know what to do with it.
Exactly. Well, you know what's so funny? Playing some of these acoustic shows in the fall, maybe it was James from Hammerbox. Somebody had said to me, I don't think he hadn't seen any of that, but I've been pretty alone, like playing alone.
Yeah.
And communing alone. And so when I came back to play stuff alone, there was a few people who just had to see me. They were like, holy hell, like, that's just got better.
Yeah.
Like, how'd that just get better? Like, how'd you get what? You know, and I'm like, well, you don't stop you don't stop working that craft. You know, be it for natural reasons, for very, authentic, not egotistical reasons. Like, I very desperately for like 3 years was like, I need to remember why I give a shit.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
I have to break it down to me and a voice. Like,
yes.
That's it. And these words. And for God's sakes, please, commune again with these words and remember why they matter without anyone looking.
Yeah.
Because this is real. This is all it's not all you have, like desperate, but it's like, this is all that matters. This craft right here.
It's the connection and the creativity you're creating.
Yeah. And it was like, with or without anybody, I would have created that stuff. So I think that I desperately needed to be grounded.
Yes.
To feel, because things come and go.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we've talked about this a lot. You and I were like, you'll watch somebody else release a record and you look at all the, the cycle of a record. Everyone's getting attention for the first 3 months and we're like, I want to do that. And you're like, regardless.
Or I'll get obsessed on the new big thing, and I'll be saying this band or this person's name over and over, and Chris is rolling his eyes like, this is your new obsession. And it's that thing, it's like, you let that go because everybody's got their path and everybody's got their time, and you don't get to have your time all the time. What you get to do is do your work.
Yes. And if you're simpatico with your work and if you can make an agreement with yourself to say, number one, I'm going to love doing this work. Like, nobody's watching. Like that quote, dance like nobody's looking. Right? Yeah. Number one. And so I think it's been a couple years being like, number one, you are just singing and nobody's looking. Find friendship with that. Did you do a lot of
stuff? Were you kind of woodshedding when you were in Minneapolis?
Yeah. I mean, I only played I played an open mic and I played a coffee shop.
It's so weird to be in a new town. It's like, but from this old, and not that you're reliving anything, but it just be such a weird experience. Like,
oh, it is weird. I was working for Target.
Yeah, so when I go to that coffee shop, you start singing, people are like, what the?
Yeah, they have no idea.
Yeah.
Or they don't know, like anybody, like they don't know, like when people think that people are coming to stardom like that, oh, they're out of nowhere. And I'm like, no, they've been doing that for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, like even if you're
they just start doing that.
Do you ever watch that? Occasionally I watch that show, The Voice, and it's like, it's interesting because all those people, they rarely come out of nowhere.
Right.
Which is kind of nice about that show,
yeah.
because everybody has experience and been doing it.
I tried out for the Target, like they have a band, and it was one of those.
You didn't make it?
Oh no, they were like, hey, let's have you sing on everything. I'm like, yeah, I don't think, like I just need to sing, but they were sort of like, hey. But that felt kind of sad to me too, in some ways. I mean, I don't need praise like that. I don't, it just made me feel more sad, like, oh, it made me feel lonely because I was like, oh yeah, you don't know me. Yeah. You just don't know anything about me.
Yeah, and it's not like, do you know who I am? That's not at all. It's more like, my history.
My whole history is absent right here. Like my lifetime is not, and so it makes me kind of feel floating out there a little bit. Very kind people, very helpful, extremely kind people.
It's the Midwest.
Oh, band.
Target has its own internal band. Okay. Yeah.
What kind of music do they play?
They'll do a lot of covers.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, they encourage creativity. At least when I was there, they encouraged creativity. They would have shows. I mean, it's an employee developed program where.
That's cool.
Anybody who wants to do it. It's like, hey, you got a band or whatever. Like, there was a couple bands, or they got together that I was like, oh, they're awesome.
That's really cool.
Well, they play shows outside of Target, and so they foster the creativity. But they will also, they started including in their large company meetings, like, showing talent, and putting production money behind that, which was kind of cool. Because they, again... I think the average Joe walking down the street, you never know, like, is massively creative. You don't know.
You don't know, and I think happy employees are usually, if they're being creative and they're having all these other kind of things in their lives. If all you do is work, it's like you burn out and then you're bitter.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of nice, but I think that the importance of being your best friend in terms of creativity and nurturing your artist without the care of thinking about everybody else is really important.
For me, it's like doing homework. I can find anything else but sit and do my work. It's like, I can fold those clothes. Oh, I should sharpen my pencil.
Totally. Exactly. Well, my friend SP is a writer. And I did say to her today, almost like a student, like, I need to get some kind of willpower, right? And she's like, like, you need to, just like a writer.
Well, I think you have to make an appointment with yourself as far as, okay, I'm gonna.
You need a routine, just like Stephen King would say, write every day, right? Doesn't he say that?
Just passed away. I don't know how to say his last name. Ivan Doig. He does a lot of great writer, and he did a lot of his fiction is Western based.
Just like I have the full-time job, but like I heard something in NPR.
But he was writing like he would sit
3 hours a day.
Yeah, and do his work, and I think that's a thing where I just gotta get on a schedule where I'm like, okay,
Just gotta do it.
Tuesdays at least for an hour, because I just
here's what I'll do, Kim. Here's what I'm gonna do for you, Kim.
I got this app.
No, but this, I think it's something that would something that you would be pleasurably to work towards. Like, I'll move to Spokane, and then I'm gonna put together like a festival 2-day, like someplace. And I'm like, okay, you have to practice or write songs with whomever, but you need a 10-song set list, like, because you're playing a festival.
You know what would be fun though? What would be cool is if you did it where it's probably like those rock girl camps, for little girls.
Yeah.
That you come for a long weekend. And you spend, yes, please. We're super classy. We're drinking our wine with ice cubes.
I have a Tupperware full of them.
I like it. Only the best for you.
It's not always going to be like this, folks. All right.
But what I'm thinking is that so you would do it. People come and then you would concentrate, and everybody would write. You'd write together, and then you perform your songs at a concert at the end of on Sunday afternoon.
Yes. Great idea.
I think it would be, it's for
Done.
me, I'm kind of like, if I'm forced, then I have to.
Well, we could bring ourselves, bring Justin wants to write. You could have the team of people where at the end you feel complete, not like, I wrote these songs, no, where's the guitar player? And the cool thing I think about Spokane is you are just steps away from lakes or
we should
forests.
Do that anyhow. We could go to Lopez for a long weekend or just a weekend. Just do it.
Definitely.
That'd be fun.
I think that it would be exciting. And what I still like about, I guess what I'm liking about the idea of a small town is that I can DIY things there. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And not bat an eye, if I choose to go, if I want to go rent some storefront that nobody cares about in Spokane. But I know about, Seattle used to be like that. Nobody's looking at that crap thing in Georgetown. I'm going to rent it out.
Well, it's funny. We were just in Georgetown Friday night for dinner, and it's so crazy. It's
crazy.
It's like the last bastion down there.
No, Marty and I went down there to go eat at the Mexican restaurant.
That's where we went on Friday.
Yes, and we were like,
first of all, that restaurant was at Katrina Love.
I didn't like it.
I loved it.
I didn't like it.
Oh, honey.
I only had stupid food because I think we were so overwhelmed by the crowd that I was like,
it was hopping down there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been up to Capitol, back to Seattle, Capitol Hill, it's just like, holy crap. I actually kind of like it occasionally because there's just so much energy up there.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm going to sound old, if I can find parking.
Oh, exactly. That's irritating.
I've driven around.
I don't care how old you are. That's irritating.
And we drove around for 45 minutes, and I was like, you gotta call Brian and Liz and tell them we're not meeting them, because this is crazy. And then we finally found Chris and Rail's probably like, oh my God, she's crazy.
Well, Capitol Hill was always tight because those streets are small, but it's gotten
because I've lived everywhere in the city, and I lived on Capitol Hill, and you would get tickets, parking tickets just flow in the back of the car.
Yeah, totally.
It's
right.
Because you have to move your car all the time.
Well, you're excited to go hang out, and you're like, if I can't get to my hanging out for half an hour because I got to park 2 miles away.
No.
That's just a bummer. And if you want to get dressed up,
then you want to walk around. It's like,
yeah. I will say what I do like, because I like a little hustle bustle. I do like that. I like boutique restaurants, whether they come or go. I like Velocity Dance. There's that chunk of Capitol Hill that I do think is teeming with Art Hugo House.
Oh, yeah.
I think is awesome. I do think that I just went to a secondhand or used material market down on 6th Avenue.
Oh.
So there's a lot of crafty, funky things like that. But I think people will be surprised, or maybe not. I don't know all y'all, but that there are small towns often sprout up crazy, amazing markets
or creativity. It's
creativity.
The city doesn't have a market on creativity. It's like
no. It's a little hip, and this is how I am old. It is a little bit like a hipster is a hipster is a hipster. It's not that novel.
Yeah.
And it used to be, maybe at my age, novel. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, you dress weird. I love that. Whatever. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you're like a Barbie out of a package. Like,
Well, that's that thing. It's like, is it different or is it just because we've been there, done that?
maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I mean, I would never, anybody being creative is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really want to poo-poo that, but there is a little bit of it where I'm just like, yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
I've seen
I
that
start
one
to see a lot of the same thing. I start to loses its,
Yeah.
you
It's a
you
deal.
miss somewhere. It's a trend.
Yeah.
Now it's a trend.
Yeah.
But I think after yesterday, and thanks to friends, which again I never used to do that well before, I reached out. I would call. You're like, Kim's like, you gotta. I talked about you today with SP where we were talking about friendship. I said, well, yeah, Kim told me. She's like, you gotta nurture that shit.
You can't
like,
just
you're right.
have friends and not call. It's like
I know.
if I haven't talked to somebody for a while, I'm like, what are you doing? Or I'll just like, hi, it's Kim, I'm checking in, give me a call. And I mean, that is the other flip side of not having kids for us. It's like we socialize a whole lot. But that's, Chris is like, you never just want to go out with me. And we've had plenty of date nights. And I'm like, I do, but it's important to me to have community. It's like, it goes back to that thing. And I make sure that everybody's, because
Speaking of which, can we have like a posse at your house and do some writing?
oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get Justin and
Yeah, and I
Chorus.
was doing that with Andrea Peterman and Justin and Sean Bates. We've been doing these, of course I can't remember the book, but these timed writings. So it'll be.
you did tell me that.
Yeah, so it'll be like you pull out, and Gillian Welch actually did the forward in this guy's first book. He's a songwriting. That's what he does. I think as a professor, and so you read back these people's in the book, like the word will be puddle, and you write, and it's interesting how everybody writes differently. But you read the excerpts back in the book, and you're like, well, yeah, they're awesome, and mine sucks ass. Mm-hmm. But it's good because it also, when they're reading their piece, like, oh, that's interesting how you approach that, or like with Andrea, I think that she comes from, maybe Montana or that area, and a lot of her approach are these beautiful, visual and nature oriented, the way that she's writing about something, just in a way that I wouldn't approach it. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Well, Bjork's the same way. She says she's very attracted to nature and like the taxonomy of nature, and her stuff's very earth based. Coming from Iceland, like just communing was a close partner in her.
Well, yeah, because I think that country is. I mean, but nature is way part of that country,
right?
More. You've got your city, but
it's rougher. It's like you're hand in hand,
And I think like with Sean P, he writes in a more boy tone, and it's like, okay, that's cool too. It's interesting to do those writes so you'll write like for. Or you write for like a minute, which is never enough time, or 5 minutes, and then you read them. You do like a round table and you read them.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, when we do it next.
I thought it was fun when you and I we did one night where we did some writing because
I was floundering. I think Lazy Susan was done, and I was having such a hard time with that next. Okay, what is the next part look like?
Yeah.
And I think there's a part of me, because I'm not really a regretful person, but I think there's a part of me in my 30s where I think I kind of dicked around about stuff where I could have been maybe
I have that, yeah.
proactive. I made records and I did stuff, but I don't know, but the record that I did a few years ago in my 40s, it's the best thing. Going back to what we were talking about, for me, I'm so proud of that record. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's that thing where, and the song that I just did, the pilot, I love that too. And it's like, I love it more than other stuff I've done, and that's good.
Well,
I'm missing my 20s.
Yeah, but that record that you talk about, like, I knew the minute I listened to it, I was like, oh, you've gone outside the box. Like, you tried new things. Like, you tried new things with your voice.
Oh, yeah.
You tried different kinds of melodies. And I think that's always a breakthrough and amazing.
Of, working with Jonathan Plum at London Bridge, and then prior to that, doing this 4-song EP with Pete Droge, because he was the first one. I have a really loud, strong voice, and that's fine, but Pete's like, yeah, you don't need to go there. You don't need to go there all the time.
Right.
He's like, use your indoor voice. And he was right, because it gives you, so crazy how it gives you this other freedom to be quiet.
And another way to express yourself.
Yes.
Like, how do you want to tell your story? When we did the first Goodness record, Smoking was the first song we actively worked on, like, talk singing. Like, cause I'm like you, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that. I want
other
talk
nuances.
singing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to quiet down, and even to this day, I'll be like, my voice can go to the regular like thing that I've done a lot.
You can do that, but it's like, what else can you do?
I don't want that to be the only story or how I'm telling that story.
Yes.
And plus, I hear other singers, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm gonna sound like
that.
that.
I think for me, it's like I have that kind of natural twangy, and it's like that alt country. And I'm like, which I love that, but I'm like, I don't want to just be that. I'm interested. What else? What else is out there? What else can you do?
Well, that's all you need is curiosity.
Yes.
You're just listening to those sounds and you try them on for yourself, and that's what makes you a great developing artist. Continuing, like you're not done, is because you're gonna have a different idea.
And I think there's something freeing in, you're like, I'm not gonna make. I mean, I've made it to where I'm making it, but it's like I'm not gonna make it on this grand level, and it's like that's kind of freeing where it's like cool. Then I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, and I can just do anything.
Didn't you and I talk about like about actually being more cognizant about would we really have liked what that entails if you'd gotten popular? Like, would you really want to live on the road? Would you really want to? I just listened to there's an interview with Sia with Howard Stern, and then there's one she did for Nightline, I think, both of which I've actually replayed a couple times because it's really, you should listen to it. Yeah. It's really good because she's very clear about what does not work for her. She also is realized like she's bipolar and doing well and sober and doing fantastic, but she's pretty clear about like, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. She's like, I need routine, and I could relate because it seems similar to me. I'm like, I need routine, being on the road. For the first, she just nailed it. Like the first 2 weeks, kind of fun, and then the rest is actually pretty lonely. And I can't do it. I don't want that.
And it's interesting because I didn't realize she was bipolar. But if you have something that you have to manage, then you do have to be very clear. You can't be willy-nilly about it. Like, I don't think I like being on the road. It's like, no, it's going to do damage to you if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, she talked about she would bring her dogs on tour or look for things, and then I think at some point she was medicating with alcohol. And then I also just thought it was really interesting about her rock bottom was, like, not that I can relate totally to this, but is drinking, but also doing a Xanax and Oxycontin.
Well, that's a lot together.
But, like, she had this thing and she was like totally, in a way, relates to this. So she was saying after 10 months of doing that stuff, she hit rock bottom. Prior to that, actually, but she'd also been, like, suicidal, like, and she goes, and somebody had asked her, like, well, if you were drinking all the time, didn't you think there was a problem? She was like, no, I thought I was relaxing. And I, in a dumb way, like, post my mom passing and moving and all this stuff.
Yes.
I've definitely had times where, or in Minneapolis when we were moving, and there's like this untold stress that you're probably not admitting to yourself. A week where, I'm having wine and sitting in a chair, and that's my vacation.
And I think that's the thing with drinking is that I don't think that all of a sudden you're pounding away. I think it just creeps up on you, like, and you're not paying attention, and you're like, oh shit, I'm.
But the fact that she said, she goes, oh, I was relaxing. She goes, but 6 months of watching like the Something Housewives or whatever, you think something's wrong, like, but maybe you don't think that when you're like, it's insidious, it creeps up on you.
And you have to, you have to know what it is what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think, and to go back, I think with, the great thing about Chris is that he's always so grounded about, like, the music industry will drive me crazy and it breaks my heart and it just taps into all my insecurities, and Chris is not like that, and he's just zen about it. He plays music and that's what he does. It's not here nor there. And the other day it was interesting, I was saying something because we have a friend that's thinking about making some changes and making them now because he doesn't want to regret not having, made that push. And I said, you don't want to end up like us. And Chris is like, do not put me in that box. He's like, whatever weird things you've got going on about it, he's like, I don't feel that way. He said,
snap.
No, and that's what I love about him is that he's right. He's like, he goes, I've been signed 3 times. He goes, I've not done as much as some, but I've done more than most. And he goes, we have a great life. I mean, we have a rocking great marriage, and we do all these things and have all these opportunities. And he was right to remind me, I don't know what the hell it is you think you're chasing, but you have the brass ring. It's like
right.
Because in the end, would I trade Chris Friel to be, to have made it?
Right.
No, because that's not what it's about. It's like you wouldn't trade Orion and Marty because that's not what being human is about. It's about
no, but what I think is enticing and what falsely pulls you is that it's extremely enjoyable to be powerful.
Oh,
it's
who doesn't
extremely
like to be
enjoyable to
liked?
be at the helm of a band, going like, I have your full attention,
Yeah.
everyone, and I mean, it's also makes you feel successful,
Yeah.
and it makes powerful is not a bad word to me.
No, yeah.
But to feel like you're on top of your game, that you are doing something well and getting noticed for it, is really enticing. Not necessarily bad.
No,
But you want
you just have to put in perspective.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can have those things, I think, if you dig in, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we talk about, like, oh, we haven't been disciplined to do our work. It's like, you dig in and do your work, like, I guarantee you're going to have some moments where you're the queen of something. You know what I mean? Like, the queen of this festival you put on.
Or just the song you did.
The song you did.
Yeah.
You can find those niches without going on the road forever being lonely. But we know a taste of being in bands that were popular, and it's a nice ride.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a very nice ride.
I had a great time in my 20s.
Yeah.
Really fun. But I also don't feel like you and I sit around like lamenting that was the case. It's like you move forward. It's like other things
I
going
miss
on.
soaring like that, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's really not about the ego. It's like there's a soaring feeling to the power. Like it's freeing. It's wonderful. It's full creativity in flight, and you're like, whoa.
Well, and you're also everything is new, and everybody in the band is focused. Like we always joke around now. It's like herding cats trying to get everybody to. Can you do the practice? No, because everybody's got demanding jobs. They've got families. They've got everybody that Chris and I play with other people. So it's like, I got a gig. Can you play this? And it's it's a lot of logistics.
It's very true.
And it's tiring.
It is really.
It's
tiring.
not like it was where you played in one band, everybody's down, and you're practicing 3 or 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
And you know what you're pursuing.
Yeah. Here's what I think is possible, though, if we take this away, is you've earned the right to be a queen, and you are, right?
Oh.
So you get that. You've already got that badge. So if in your mind, if all you do is in your mind continue that vision, then every time you feel like you're going through the process that's annoying or tiring or whatever, like, we're just part of the queen for a show, right? So you're always a queen. You're always a queen, and God bless queens, because they got it down.
Yeah.
They do. And I just think that's it's always attainable when you're like, because I'm a big believer in like, there's enough to go around for everybody, right? So you are more than welcome to be calling yourself a queen and saying like, yeah, every time I play, it is me prepping myself as an artist to do my show. My show in my mind is my artwork, and that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all you need to say. It doesn't have to be, what do you mean? You think so many million people? I'm like, no, what I do is amazing, and I'm doing it. And that's all you need to say. You can take that anywhere.
And to continue to do it.
Yeah, you're huge right now. You're huge all the time.
In my mind.
In your mind. That's what I say to people too. They're like, oh, I heard you're a big rock star. In my mind.
In my mind, I am.
I fucking still am.
I will rock
If
you.
you're in a band, and I think that. So.
Right? Yeah, I think we've all got the right to say that. So that's what I'm saying out there to my listeners. You've got the right to be whoever you want in your head all the time.
But I want a crown.
I'll get you one.
Thank you,
I'm
honey.
going to get you one. Okay, I think on that note, has it been 3 hours? No kidding. No?
I think we drank a bottle of wine.
Surprising.
8 minutes after 1 hour, so not too bad.
What? Okay, this one's for you listeners. I just narrowed it down. Kim and I are giving you gifts. So Kim, thank you.
Thank you.
For being on the
This has been a real
podcast.
pleasure.
Right? So
Yeah.
conversation
My very
is
first
awesome.
one. Yes, I love
Yes.
it.
Good. I feel better. Do you feel better?
I feel better. I think, do we promote our show?
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
do it. We have a show May 27th at Chop Suey. Is it 6 to 8 or 7 to 9?
It's 6 to 9. Kim and I and Deja are going to play a show early at Chop Suey on Capitol Hill.
Happy hour.
Happy hour. Happy. And I don't know what we're going to do. I might do covers. I might force Justin to help me play or Rob Knopp to play piano.
Justin was just asking me if he goes, why am I not playing that? I'm like, I don't know. I'll talk about it with Carrie.
He is now. Bam.
Okay, good. Justin, you're in.
So we're starting these early shows because we also love Jody, who books that place.
Yep.
And then I'm also maybe looking to do a live podcast there. So
fun.
I'll post the crap out of that on Facebook and see what happens.
All right, I like it.
All right. Thank you, my love.
See you later.
Promote your Indiegogo.
Oh my God, thank you.
And we're not done yet.
If you've actually listened this long, I'm currently doing an Indiegogo to record a single that's going to be put out on vinyl, actually, by the Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. He just said yes to that. So if you want to contribute anything to that, I'm extremely grateful. And I just want to get in the studio and record and be extremely creative. So it's Indiegogo/Karaoke. It's out there on Facebook. Come say hi to me. And there's even one on there that's about a ham sandwich and being on this podcast. So if you want to sign up for that, you and some friends even,
I want a ham sandwich.
I will get you a damn ham sandwich and you will be on this podcast. So thank you one and all. I feel like I should have some sort of like namaste at the end of this. So for today, it's namaste.